Uh, yeah, so to keep going off of the last video, it's, I just, it just feels so bad. Like, I always told my friends that, it's really not that big of a deal, and they can't believe that, I still haven't had my first kiss and all that stuff. And to me, it's, girls aren't like, I can't play a girl and get better at fucking Guitar Hero like you can a girl. Like Guitar Hero or most games and sports, if you do it over and over and over and over and over again, you can get to expert or Division 1 in FIFA or whatever. And like I know some people will be like, well, it's kind of the same thing. And like to me, people aren't really like that. Like you can do everything right and still not get the girl. You can do everything right on this or FIFA and sometimes lose, or any game, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite or whatever. If you do everything right, you will most likely win. You can do everything right, even if you are really good looking and still not get the girl. And I remember, but like with me, I don't have like I don't like some of the biggest thing my friends would always say when they're like, "You're a virgin, I don't believe you. You must have these unrealistic high ass standards," and I really don't. Like over, I remember one time for like 30, 40 minutes they were just showing me all these girls that they either knew or like Instagram models or whatever, and they were like, all to them they were all like tens and nines, and to me like a lot of them were like sevens and eights. I think like I'm not that I like brunettes more than blondes, so like a lot of the blondes they were showing me, I was giving like sevens or eights, and they're like, no way, bro, she's like a total 9, 10. And some of the other girls, they weren't all white girls, they were all different types of girls. I don't think I really have a preference. I definitely like brunettes the most, but I don't really think I have a preference. Yeah, I don't think I do. And I've been curved shit. What is there? There's 52 weeks in a year. I get curved. Used to when I tried 53 weeks out of the 52. I promise you, it was, it is what it is, and you just gotta move on. Like once you get curved, I wish that girls could just tell me like, hey, no disrespect, but you're fucking ugly or something like that, and then, that maybe not exactly like that, but like, just blunt and then move on instead of like. But as I said in my other video, I see why they can't do that because there's so many weirdo dudes out there that start stalking and harassing and calling them names and all this stuff. And I'm like, bro, like just move on. There's so many other girls in the world, man. So many, especially in your area too. If you're in college, like if you get curved by the one girl, just go on. Like she doesn't want you. It's not that big of a deal. And especially if you don't know her at all, like what are you saying, like envisioning all this stuff that isn't actually happening. And so we were going through that, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I remember I called this one girl an 8, and they all flipped out on me. They're like, this is a 10, Nico, Nick, this is a 10, what's wrong with your eyes, dude? And I was like I was like, what's so bad about an 8? Like, even some of them were calling her a 9. I was like, if you're an 8, that means most likely to a lot of people you might be a 9. Like, if outside of I just don't think there's that much of a difference between an 8 and a 9 outside of personal preference. Like, for me, if you show me a brunette and a blonde, 99 times out of 100 I'll probably choose the brunette. And so that means if I think the brunette's a 9 and the blonde's an 8, to someone who likes blondes more, they'll probably switch it. I just don't see the big deal of like, I've seen so many girls get upset at being called an 8. I'm like, if you got a dope personality, that easily makes you a 10 or higher. Like, but that's another topic for another day. And they always tell me other things, like I've never done any drugs, I've never smoked weed. I just started drinking, I think like last year, maybe a little before, and it's fun, alcohol, but I only do it sometimes when I go out. I'm not someone that's just gonna like drink and you know watch sports. I can watch sports and be sober just fine and still go crazy. And it's it's definitely fun when I'm at the bars or some party with any of my friends or something. And but they'll always be like, "You've never smoked weed? you've never, I don't even know what some of these drugs they are like, they'll just throw them on the table at these frat parties, and I'm like, all right, like I'm about to just leave. Like I don't. That's just not who I am. And I remember one time, when two of my friends they offered to me to smoke with them, and one of them, both of them are attractive. One of them's like every dude wants her and all this stuff. Two of my friends have actually hooked up with her, and they're two dudes that are probably considered 9 to 10s to a lot of girls, and I remember I said no thank you and all that, and one of my friends was like, were you just with, and I was like, yeah, and they was like, what happened? It was like they invited me to smoke, to go back and smoke, but like I don't smoke. My man looked at me with like the most disappointed face ever, and I was like, bro, like I will never change who I am, like to get a girl or be in the opportunity or whatever. Like it just doesn't matter that much to me. Like I like being who I am and doing what I authentically like to do. Like I love the beach and sunsets, and like this shirt has, beach and sunsets on it and water and all that. And it's just, I just don't see myself ever doing that. And especially now, like, it's just with this corona too, like nah, I just I feel bad when I see people write posts, or people that I know in real life more, completely change who they are to get a girl or try to do all that. Like if it's that small shit, like putting on, I don't know, like, some frat attire, or if you're 6'3" and higher and you lie and you say you're an athlete or whatever at the bars or a frat party and they believe you, I'm like, hey, it is what it is. You could be doing a lot worse, and I see it happen too often. Like, I don't put up with sexual assault at all. That's a no, no, no. That's nothing. That's not acceptable. So to see like dudes do that stuff in the beginning, I was kind of like, hey, like that's not really cool. I didn't say it to them. In my mind, I was just like, that's not really cool. Like, but then I kept seeing it happen so often. I was like, well, I guess this is just what happens in college. And but I definitely don't think it's something to harp yourself on, especially if you keep yourself busy. I keep myself so busy most of the time that by the time I get back to my place, when things are normal, I'm so tired. I just go on my bed and I'm asleep like that. And it's just that's the biggest thing, man. Like you gotta keep yourself busy, because I know what that overthinking will do to you. I know what it'll do. It will mess you up on top of all the other stresses. Like life is hard. Life is really, really hard. And if you're pushing through it with whatever it is, and someone's making fun of you, it says a lot more about them than it says anything about you. Regardless of, as long as it's not hurting yourself, trust me, as long as it's not hurting yourself or others, you should not feel embarrassed about it at all. And like, as someone who's loved anime for a long time, like, it's been funny to see the transition of like how it's cool now in society. And I think that's happened over like maybe the past 2-ish, maybe 3 years. Cause I remember, in 2017, some of my friends that were watching anime that were asking me what to watch, they were like, hey man, like, is this a good one? And I'm like, why are you whispering, or like whatever? And like they're like, oh, I can't let people know like that I watch anime. And now like people are walking out with, Naruto shirts, Demon Slayer shirts, Haikyuu, and then all et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, I'm happy for it, but it kind of makes me a little sad that in our society it takes, celebrities, really good looking people, famous people, pro athletes, et cetera, to make things okay or cool. Because without all of them, coming out and saying, oh, I love Naruto, oh, Dragon Ball Z, oh, I'm watching this new short, you probably ain't hit Demon Slayer. Stuff like that. And I'm like, I think it's wonderful that people can, especially the people who care more about what other people think, like, be, I can't even word it the right way, that they can be out in the open about liking anime, whereas, a couple years ago it was like, oh, you're such a nerd or whatever for watching it. Now everyone watches anime. It's almost weird if you don't watch anime now. And it's I've just never liked that concept. And the other concept of like, the celebrity worship. You're good looking if you look like a celebrity, like with Outer Banks, perfect example. John B. goated. He's cool as shit, phenomenal character. But I noticed like just because I do a lot of research when I overthink, and I just go on different forums. I just type in whatever I'm looking up. A lot of it is deals with psychology, and I just like to read to see people's minds. And on the internet, you can't take everything for face value, obviously, but for the most part, if they're anonymous, they're really not gonna lie unless they're trolling. And I've seen so many posts about, hey, I kind of look like John B. I guess I'm good looking now, or damn, like I wasn't really getting stuff on Tinder the past couple weeks, and then Outer Banks came out, and I'm getting all these girls in my DMs saying, oh wow, you look like John B. Haha. John B. this, or insert whatever celebrity. Zayn Malik helped out a lot of people a couple years ago because with all the racial slurs and just pure out racist shit that would happen to people that kind of looked like him before he became big with One Direction. I've had friends who kind of look like him tell me, Zayn Malik was one of the best things that ever happened in their life, and it's it's sad that I'm starting to notice it more and more, that if you look like a celebrity, and some of this stuff is like just completely crazy, like, oh, you 60% look like Madison Beer and like 20% look like Addison Rae and all this stuff. I'm like, they're both gorgeous girls, but you don't have to look like them or be a percentage look like them to be good looking. Same thing for guys too. You don't have to look like insert whoever, Thor was and Hemsworth or Evans, or all those. They are good looking people. So if you look like them, like hey, you look like them. But if you have to stretch it out, like, oh, you 30% look like this dude and 40% look like that guy, I'm like, all right, like you can still be good looking and not look like a celebrity or whatever. But I'm gonna end this one now. It's already at 12.